Hey everybody, so I've gotten questions about how I put the legs on or just what the legs look like and how the whole process works. So I figured I'd shoot a little video and show everyone what's involved, all the accessories, and just what's what. So these are my legs. This is the left one and this is the right one. So they're heavy. The left one, this is made of carbon fiber, and this part is where my knee, it would go up to basically the end of my kneecap. And there's a little button here which would lock and unlock it, and you can't see because it's covered by this. So this is essentially my calf, and then it ends here, and then it starts the foot. And basically this is sort of like a blade that is about this long, length of the shoe, give or take. But over it, there's this sort of skin colored cover, and it's basically a fake foot. And that's just on there so that the foot can fit into a shoe. Eventually, if I get skin tone covers, I would get them however I wanted to. These are just, I guess, you know, mannequin style. So basically, that's this one. We'll leave that there. Then on the right one, you've got this part which goes over what's left of my right side, and then this is the computerized knee. It's very fancy, it's waterproof and everything, and that's where the bending of that is basically my knee joint, which I don't have a knee on my right side, so this prosthetic provides that for me. Without a computerized knee, my day-to-day activity or just daily functions would be very limited. So this is sort of this part, except there's that knee above. And then same thing at the end, it ends a little differently, and then there's the foot and the cover. So that's how these two work. The ankles don't bend, but they do have a little bit of flexion so that when my foot touches the ground, but all in all, I don't really have an ankle. So, you know, I can't really adjust my foot as if I had an ankle, but that's okay. So those are our that's basically the breakdown of the simple breakdown. I didn't use all the correct terminology, but that's the simple breakdown. And now I'll show you the process of, you know, putting these on and what's involved before actually putting these on. And hopefully that'll help everyone with a better understanding. Before I go to bed at the end of the night, these are what I put on, which I have on now on both legs. So on the left, I've got one of these things on, and then above that, I've got one of these things on. So this is just a sock that's it's lined with silver, and it's just to promote healing. And then over that, I put this on, which is called a shrinker, which is essentially a pressure sock, more or less. And that's just so to keep, you know, shape and whatnot of my legs. And then on the right side, I've got one of these on, and I just turn it inside out and I put it on, and then this just goes around my waist like so. So that's what I do prior to going to bed, and then when I wake up, obviously they're on. And then when I get up in the morning and I go to put on the prosthetics, before I go to put on the prosthetics, I have to do a couple of things. So I take off the liner and the shrinker, and I switch it up for one of these little socks. It's just the long version, but just cut off a little bit because I still have some wounds in the front, so I only need it to cover up to my knee. So I put that on, because then after that, I need to put this guy on, which is a liner. So this one, it's silicone based, it's custom made for me based on my skin, which I have a lot of skin grafts and whatnot, and everyone gets a different kind of liner depending on their condition. So this one has a little pin at the end of it, and I'll show you guys where that comes into effect a little later. So to put this on, so I take these two things off, I put this on, and then I put a little bit of this on my knee just so there's not as much friction once I put this on. So to put this on, I have to roll it inside out. Roll it inside out like so. I just keep, and I make sure that when I put it on, that the pin is straight, and that, so if I didn't have this on, I would put this on at the end, make sure the pin is aligned as best I can. Sometimes after I put it on, I still have to kind of tweak it a little bit, and then I just continue to roll it, and basically I roll it all the way up. So once I get that on, then the left leg is good. So we'll just put that there. That's where it goes after it gets washed at the end of the day. Then on the right side, same thing. I would take the shrinker off and I would put this guy on. Same thing. I would have to turn it inside out. This is also silicone based. It's not a pink for any other reason than it's just pink. So gotta make sure I turn it inside out, align it properly. I align it based on, I can tell from the edges on the top of it, and also this part has to be in the middle. So turn it inside out, and usually I'll lie down halfway to put it on, but just to show you, I gotta take this part of it, put it up against the end of this side, and then same thing, I would roll it up all the way, and it goes, you know, pretty much up to here. So once I have these two guys on, then I would move on to putting the prosthetics on. So for the left prosthetic, which is this guy, this is carbon fiber, and there's a hole at the end at the bottom of this, and that's where the pin would come into effect. So if I had this on, I would then put this on over it like this, and the pin from here clicks in to the hole in there, and it'll, you know, make click click noises each time it clicks in. And sometimes I have to put on socks, which are these guys. So there's different versions of them. These guys are half plies. This is a 1-ply, and this one's a 2-ply. So what happens is throughout the day, as I have the prosthetic on, my leg will shrink a little bit, you know, some of the fluid will get pushed out, and then what that does is it makes it looser in here. So when it's looser, I need to put a variation, some sort of combination of these socks over this so that it fills up the space in the prosthetic. And eventually socks won't cut it because I'll shrink down enough, and at which point they'll recast me and make a new one of these, which will be smaller and, you know, fit to my leg. So that's how that one works. And then in order to take it off, there's a little button here. It's covered by this, but all I do is push and it unlocks it, and then it unlocks the pin, and then I just pull my leg out and then the pin unlocks from that socket. So that's this one. So for the right leg, the lanyard on this side comes into play this way. So imagine if I had this on, I would then slide this part of the prosthetic over this onto me, and as I'm sliding it on, before I fully put it on, I take the end of this and I would loop it through that little slot before that I showed you guys, and we'll just pretend as if I'm here and now this is in. So I would pull this, and as I pull it tight, what that does is it causes my right side which would be in here, to sink further into this. And so I would pull it tight, and usually I'll do this part sitting, and then I will, once I pulled it as tight as I possibly can while sitting, I'll then loop it through here, pull it up, and then I will snap it in. And I'll stand up after I put it on to just make sure that it's as tight as can be, because obviously I can get more of a grip and more tension when I'm standing to pull into it than when I'm sitting. And so once I've made sure that that's secure, I'll lock it up again, clip it closed, and then since this isn't so great hanging out, just dangling, I'll usually just loop it through a few times just so it's not dangling. So that's how I would get that one on. Once it's on, this one with the computerized knee, how it works is it's programmed in the computer so that it knows my weight and my height and my gait, and basically when I put pressure on it with my body weight onto here, as if I were to need to walk with this on this leg, it will then sense the motion of bending, and that'll bend. So that does basically what someone's knee would do. That's the bending motion when you guys take a step. And so that does that. And that's basically how I put on everything and get my day started. And then, you know, at the end of the night, I take everything off. I have to wash these, and once those are off, then I put these back on before going to bed and do the same thing the next day and the next. And that's my process.